gold cross sparkled under the courtroom's bright lights as Pam Bondi stood up to talk, standing out against her dark blue suit. Before she could get a word out, Judge Raymond Hoffman's sharp voice broke the quiet. "Miss Bondi, come up here right now." The air in Tampa's federal building courtroom got thick with tension. Pam, a pro-lawyer, felt a chill run through her at his icy tone, barely hidden behind his judge-like manners. Her client, Jeffrey Reen, the big boss of Gulf Coast Manufacturing, gave her a confused look. They'd spent months getting ready for this contract disagreement, not whatever this was. Up at the bench, Hoffman lowered his voice. "That cross you're wearing, take it off this instant." Pam's fingers touched the necklace, a special gift from her grandma when she became a lawyer, something she'd worn every time she stepped into court. "Sorry, Your Honor," she asked, caught off guard. "You heard me," Hoffman shot back. "It messes with the courtroom's fairness. Faith doesn't belong here." Nicknamed Hurricane Hoffman for his wild decisions, he wasn't someone most people messed with. Pam's heart sped up, but she kept her cool. "With all due respect, Your Honor, this is just personal jewelry. It's no different from someone wearing a wedding band." Hoffman's eyes got small and sharp. "Are you challenging me?" The room went dead quiet, everyone staring. Martin Chen, the lawyer on the other side, watched closely. "No, Your Honor," Pam said, picking her words carefully, "but it means a lot to me." "I don't care if it's a family heirloom," Hoffman whispered harshly. "Take it off, or you'll regret it." Pam thought fast. Go along with it or hold her ground. Something about his random control hit her hard. "I can't do that, Your Honor," she said firmly. Hoffman's face tightened. "Go back to your spot." As Pam walked over, Jeffrey leaned in and whispered, "What's going on?" Before she could explain, Hoffman's voice rang out loud. "Let it be noted that Pamela Bondi has refused to remove a religious item that breaks courtroom rules. This court holds her in contempt and sets a $100,000 fine, due in 30 days. People in the room gasped. Jeffrey's face went white. Chen fumbled his pen. That kind of fine was huge. Most contempt penalties topped out way lower. This felt personal. Pam kept her voice even. "Your Honor, I disagree. There's no rule against religious jewelry in federal court, and that fine's way too high." "Disagreement noted," Hoffman grumbled. "Want to make it $200,000? The warning loomed large. Pam thought of Jeffrey's case. She couldn't push it further. "No, Your Honor," she said smoothly. "I'll note my First Amendment rights, but keep going." Hoffman gave a smug little grin. "Smart move." For the next 3 hours, Pam nailed Jeffrey's case, the cross still hanging around her neck. Inside, she was boiling. This wasn't just Hoffman being his usual tough self. It was him crossing a line, stepping on her rights. During a break, Jeffrey asked, $100,000 for a necklace? "He went too far," Pam answered. "I'm not letting it slide." Martin Chen walked over. "That was wild, Pam. I've never seen anything like it." "Appreciate it, Martin," she said. Her phone buzzed, her paralegal Lauren texting. $100,000 fine? "Reporters are blowing up my phone." Outside, a clerk named Sarah Mitchell stopped her. "That wasn't right. Hoffman wears a Masonic ring every day and no one says a thing." Pam stopped cold. The double standard lit a fire in her. Back at her office, news vans were already parked. Her team, Jackson, a rights expert, and Maria, a media pro, greeted her. "This is a straight-up First Amendment issue," Jackson said. "We'll push to get it thrown out." Maria chimed in. "We'll spin it. Judge oversteps his power." Pam gave a nod. "This isn't just my fight anymore." By the afternoon, Pam's office was hopping with energy. Word of the $100,000 fine over her cross necklace had blown up. Cross fine was all over Florida's social media. Her phone wouldn't stop pinging with messages from reporters, co-workers, and random folks. Lauren passed her a tablet. "Tampa Bay Times is on it. People online are going nuts." Pam glanced at the headlines. "Lawyer hit for her beliefs and judge going too far?" "It's a total mess," Maria said. "Faith power trips, a woman in the crosshairs. It's got it all." Jackson laid out their next steps. "We're filing an emergency request to toss this out. Hoffman's call won't stand. First Amendment wins from cases like Church of Lukumi and Town of Greece back us up." Pam gave a nod. "Throw in his Masonic ring. He's picking and choosing who gets heat." Maria jumped in. "We'll spin it for the public. Judge stomps on rights. A fine this big'll catch the Florida bar's eye." Pam was on board. "No chats with the press yet. Put out a statement. I'm fighting this with the Constitution and keeping my client first." Jeffrey rang her up, sounding stressed. "The board's willing to pay the fine, Pam." "No way," she shot back. This is on me. Then Sarah, Hoffman's clerk, got in touch with Lauren. He wants you in his office tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Jackson's brow furrowed. That's weird. I'm tagging along as your backup. Pam gazed out at the news vans parked below. This wasn't the week she'd signed up for. Jeffrey's contract issue was supposed to be the focus, not this rights showdown. But Hoffman had turned it into her battle. That night, her phone lit up with encouragement. My girl wears a hijab. She looks up to you. As a Jewish lawyer, I'm grateful. A FedEx package showed up from Martin Chen, a pic of him sporting a Star of David pin in Hoffman's court a few weeks back. No problem. Some things matter more than competition, his note said. Pam's frustration turned solid. Hoffman's fairness was a joke. She shot Jackson a text. Add Chen's pin to the request. It's hard proof. By 7 p.m., the team was in full swing. Jackson hammered out the request, pulling from 14 big Supreme Court rulings. Lauren dug into Hoffman's old decisions. Some hinted at faith-based leanings. Maria's statement went live. Pam Bondi's taking on an unfair fine with the Constitution. Jeffrey called again. You're killing it, Pam. We've got your back. She cracked a smile. Your case is still my top job. Then Sarah called Pam straight up, keeping her voice low. Hoffman's been talking with Chief Judge Mercer and the 11th Circuit crew all day. He's got a Bible stashed in his desk, leans on it for decisions. Pam's mouth fell open. Would you back that up officially? I'd lose it all, Sarah said, but it's real. Pam thanked her. She couldn't use it outright, but it sealed Hoffman's two-faced game and his big career dreams. The Florida bar emailed, we're checking if this fine makes sense. Then Judge Mercer's office buzzed in. Chief Judge wants a video meeting tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Hoffman's in. Pam and Lauren swapped glances. The district's scrambling, Pam said. This is bigger than me now. Jackson rolled in. Mercer's on it. That's major. We hold the line. Total reversal, or we push harder. Pam agreed. No backing down unless he says the cross is fine. She stayed late, juggling Jeffrey's case and the request. At midnight, she headed home, Tampa's lights shining bright. Texts kept rolling in. Keep it up. The support from others weighed on her. At home, she brushed her cross. Her grandma's voice rang in her head. Stand for what's right. Tomorrow, she'd take on Hoffman and Mercer with the law, proof, and grit. The Tampa courthouse steps were alive at 7:45 a.m. when Pam showed up. A bunch of folks were there, some wearing crosses, others with stars of David, holding up signs that said stuff like, religious freedom counts. Law students clapped as she walked by. Inside, Jackson was waiting. You good? He asked, his briefcase stuffed with proof. Chen's picture, Hoffman's ring, and their motion. Oh, I'm ready, Pam replied. They hit Hoffman's office by 8:15. Sarah, the clerk, wouldn't look at them and just nodded toward a screen. Judge Mercer's popping in on video. Right at 8:30, Hoffman walked in, looking stiff, with Martin Chen right behind him. Chief Judge Mercer's serious face appeared on the monitor. We've got a weird one here, she kicked off. Judge Hoffman, what's up with yesterday's contempt thing? Hoffman sat up straight. Miss Bondi wouldn't take off a religious necklace that messed with fairness. I slapped her with a $100,000 fine. Jackson jumped in. Is that normal for jewelry? Mercer shut him down quick. Keep it polite, counselor. Then turned back to Hoffman. What's your reasoning? Hoffman stumbled a bit. Fairness keeps things neutral. Pam kept her tone steady. So you ban all symbols, Your Honor? He dodged. I run my court how I think it should go. Pam slid Chen's photo across. 3 weeks back, Mr. Chen had a Star of David pin on in here. No problem. You've got that Masonic ring on every day. Why's my cross an issue? Hoffman's face went red. I missed that one. She set down a court reporter's note. Your ring's got spiritual vibes too, but I'm the one paying. That's not even handed. Mercer leaned in toward the screen. This true, Judge Hoffman? He started to lose it. The Masons aren't some church group. They've got meaning behind them, Pam pushed back. Fairness should apply across the board. Jackson piled on. A $100,000 fine for something she's allowed to do doesn't add up. Mercer flipped through Pam's motion. 14 big Supreme Court cases, the fine being way over the top. Judge Hoffman, rethink your call. Hoffman was backed into a corner. The facts and law had him stuck. Fine, he grumbled. The contempt and fine are gone. Pam didn't let up. I'd like it officially stated that religious jewelry's okay under the Constitution. Hoffman got prickly. You got your win. Don't overdo it. It's for everyone else, Pam said. Mercer nodded. Fair ask. Judge Hoffman put out an order making that clear. By 10 a.m., the courtroom was packed. Hoffman read off, his voice dull. The contempt and fine on Pamela Bondi are dropped. Personal religious jewelry is covered by the First Amendment and allowed in my court. People started whispering. Pam kept cool. This set a new standard. The trial picked back up. Hoffman played it straight, maybe feeling the heat. Pam's questioning gave Jeffrey's case a solid boost. At lunch, reporters were all over her. Pam kept it short. This proves our rights stick with us in court. A law student came up, her voice wobbly. I wear a hijab. This means a lot. Pam gave her hand a quick squeeze. It was worth it, she said. Texts kept coming. Thanks for standing up. The Florida bar liked how it turned out and said they'd look at their rules. Jeffrey was all smiles after the break. You crushed it, Pam. On both ends, she grinned. Your case is still a big deal to me. Outside, the crowd was pumped for her win. It wasn't just hers. It belonged to them, too. The afternoon session was buzzing with action as Pam took the stand by storm. She tore into the opposing side's star witness, picking apart his shaky story with questions so tight he couldn't wiggle out. His answers started tripping over themselves, and the cracks in his testimony shone bright. Even Judge Hoffman, who'd been a wild card before, played it straight, letting Pam's objections stick every time. It was like he knew the whole world, or at least Tampa, was watching him now, and he kept his rulings clean and fair. By the time the gavel dropped for the day, Jeffrey's case was standing tall. You're a force, Pam, he said with a grin as they stepped out of the courthouse. Tomorrow's gonna lock this up for us. Pam nodded, still riding the high from the day's grind, her focus razor-sharp despite the hours piling up. 3 days later, the trial wrapped up tight. The jury didn't mess around. They were back in under 2 hours with a verdict that gave Gulf Coast Manufacturing everything they'd fought for, full damages and all. Hoffman's final calls were straight-up textbook. No funny business, like the heat from the past week had finally tamed him. As Pam stuffed her notes and files into her bag, she caught his eye across the room. He gave her a quick, stiff nod. Nothing close to a sorry, but maybe a quiet tip of the hat. She didn't linger on it. Outside, Tampa was basking in that golden afternoon glow, the kind that makes the city feel alive. The news trucks were still parked nearby, though the swarm had thinned out a bit. Pam waved off most of the mics shoved her way, only saying yes to a short sit-down with the Bar Association for a piece about how this case tied into bigger rights questions. Back at the office, Lauren had gone all out, turning the conference room into a full-on victory bash. Balloons bobbed in the corners, and a spread of snacks lined the table. Nothing fancy, just enough to keep the good vibes going. The team piled in, laughing and recapping the wild ride. Jeffrey showed up, tie loosened, looking relieved for once. Even Martin Chen swung by, the guy who'd been on the other side of the courtroom just days ago. He raised his glass with a smirk, joining the crew. To Pam, Jackson said, standing up with his drink held high, who didn't back down when it got real. The room echoed with clinks and cheers, and Pam felt the warmth of it all sink in. Her phone buzzed mid-toast, an email from Sarah, Hoffman's clerk. He's out of the 11th Circuit running, it read, called it personal reasons. What you did shook things up. I'm heading to a religious freedom outfit now. Your guts gave me the push. Thanks. Pam's smile grew. This wasn't just her win anymore. It was sparking moves she hadn't even pictured. Around 8 p.m., the party was winding down when Lauren waved her over to check a news pop-up. Judicial Commission digs deeper into Hoffman's record. 3 other lawyers had come forward, pointing out times he'd pulled similar stunts, favoring some, nitpicking others. I didn't set out to sink him, Pam said, leaning back in her chair. But if he's off the rails, that's on him. The room got quiet for a sec, everyone nodding like they got it. Later, when the place emptied out, Pam stood by her window, just her and the view. Tampa Bay's lights danced on the water, steady and bright. She thought about the flood of messages she'd gotten. Muslim students texting about their hijabs, Jewish lawyers sharing their own stories, regular folks saying her fight hit home. One choice, one day, and it had reached all of them. Then her phone rang, cutting through the stillness. A DC number. Miss Bondi, this is Justice Thomas Mitchell from the Supreme Court, the voice said. Your work in there was flawless. We've got a spot for you on our courtroom religious expression team. Interested? Pam froze for a beat, then found her words. I'd be honored, Your Honor. That cross you wore, he added, his tone warm. You were dead right to hold your ground. We need folks who'll stand up for the Constitution like that." They said their goodbyes, and Pam's fingers brushed her necklace, her grandma's old gift, now carrying way more weight than she'd ever dreamed. "Stand for something," her grandma used to say, half smiling over coffee back in the day. Pam had done just that, and the echo was rolling out further than she'd ever thought it could. Pam stood by her office window, one hand resting lightly on the frame as the cool glass pressed against her fingertips. Outside, Tampa Bay's lights glittered across the dark water, a familiar sight that felt different tonight. The whirlwind of the past week, Hoffman's ridiculous fine, that nail-biter of a win in chambers, and then wrapping up the trial with a bang, had finally settled into a quiet, steady glow of victory. Her cross, that simple gold trinket her grandma had given her with a warm hug years back, had set off a chain reaction she'd never seen coming, a full-blown stand for rights that stretched far beyond the four walls of her Tampa courtroom. The Supreme Court offer still buzzed in her head like static, a wild chance to weigh in on rules that could ripple across the whole country. She hadn't gone hunting for this kind of chaos, but sometimes life picks your battles for you, and all you can do is lace up and step into the ring. Her phone sat on the desk behind her, lighting up every few minutes with a soft chime as messages kept trickling in from all corners. A Muslim attorney had texted earlier in the day, "Your fight means I can stride into court with my hijab and not even blink." A Sikh law student shot her a quick note, "I'm gonna wear my turban proud now, huge thanks." A pastor from some tiny town she couldn't place on a map wrote, "Faith's got a firmer footing because you didn't back off." Each message landed like a quiet thud in her chest, stacking up the meaning of that one morning when she'd squared up to Hoffman and told him no dice on ditching her necklace. It wasn't just her own piece of freedom she'd fought for, it was theirs too, every last one of them who'd sent those words her way. She thought about Martin Chen, casually snapping that pic of his Star of David pin like it was nothing, and Sarah, digging deep to spill the truth about Hoffman's desk stash. The bar sniffing around his record, the whispers from clerks down the hall. All these little sparks had caught fire, turning her personal scrap into something way bigger than just Pam Bondi versus a grumpy judge. The office was hushed now, the last echoes of the team's celebration swallowed up by the late hour. They'd cleared out a while ago, leaving behind a couple of crumpled napkins and a coffee cup with a lipstick smudge on the rim, small signs of a night well spent. Lauren had forgotten her tablet on the conference table, its screen still glowing with a news update. The Judicial Commission was digging harder into Hoffman, flipping through his old rulings like they were sifting for gold. More lawyers had stepped up, tossing out stories of times he'd played favorites or gotten picky over dumb stuff, echoes of her own tangle with him. Pam hadn't meant to shove him off his pedestal. She just wanted her cross left alone, plain and simple. But when someone stomps over the line that hard, the blowback finds them sooner or later. She pictured Sarah, maybe sorting through her desk drawers right now, packing up pens and files before heading off to that religious freedom gig with a new spark in her step. Then there was that law student from the courthouse steps, her voice trembling as she'd thanked Pam about her hijab. Those words still hung in the air, clear as a bell. One quick no to Hoffman, one stubborn moment, and it had tipped their worlds into new directions she couldn't have guessed. Her grandma's voice floated back to her, steady and warm, like she was sitting right there with a mug of tea. "Know who you are, Pam. Stand for something, or you'll tumble for anything." She'd said it one lazy Sunday over pancakes, sunlight streaming through the kitchen window, her eyes sharp with that quiet wisdom Pam could never forget. That cross had been a low-key part of her life for years, just a little thing she'd clip on with her morning coffee and head out the door, until it flared up into this bright signal of something real. Pam hadn't just dodged a fine or pulled off a slick win for Jeffrey's company. She'd scratched out a new boundary, a solid wall for anyone who'd walk into a courtroom after her, holding their own piece of belief close. The Tampa skyline sprawled out below her window, same as it ever was, cars buzzing over the bridges, boats drifting lazy in the bay, the hum of a Friday night kicking into gear. But it carried a new vibe tonight, like her stand had brushed it with a change you couldn't quite touch. Tomorrow, she'd dive back into the daily grind, new cases piling up on her desk, new clients with their own headaches to sort out, and soon, that DC call might yank her into a whole new game. But tonight, she let the win sink in slow and deep, not for the claps or the news blurbs, but for what it pinned down. Here in America, You could wear your faith loud and proud and not have to duck your head for anyone. She lingered by the window a little longer, soaking in the view as the city pulsed on. The cross rested light against her chest, cool under her fingers when she brushed it, catching the faint glow from the desk lamp across the room. She thought about the courtroom that first day, Hoffman's glare, the gasps when he dropped that fine, the way Jeffrey's jaw had hit the floor. She thought about Jackson scribbling away at the motion, Lauren fielding calls like a pro, Maria spinning the story just right. Every piece had locked into place, and now here she was, staring out at a city that didn't know how much it had been part of this. The weight of it all, the messages, the precedent, the unexpected doors cracking open, settled on her shoulders, not heavy, but real. She'd stood up, not just for herself, but for the kid in the hijab, the lawyer with the pin, the pastor preaching on Sunday. Her grandma's words looped again, stand for something. She had, and it was still ringing out clear and strong, further than she'd ever imagined it could carry. Pam turned from the window at last, the quiet of the office wrapping around her like a blanket. Some fights you don't go looking for turn out to be the ones that carve the deepest grooves, not just for her, but for every single person who'd step into a courtroom down the road, clutching their own slice of who they are, knowing they wouldn't have to let it go.
This is an artistic and fictional creation intended for both entertainment and educational purposes. Any resemblance to actual people or events is purely coincidental. Some scenes and dialogues in the video are part of a dramatized performance and incorporate elements of grotesque, satire, and exaggeration. The creator stands against discrimination, violence, and hatred. This channel fully complies with YouTube's policies and does not infringe upon copyright laws.